Thanks for having me on. And a little spoiler alert. I'm not going to give you guys too much info yet because we don't have everything in place. But it's looking like this Wednesday morning segment's going to be something we do consistently. I think me and Coach are going to try and start like a weekly podcast out of it and get like some NFL guests on here, get some coaches on here, and just I've really enjoyed coming on talking to you guys. Him and I are really good friends, and we just figured like we're both starting something pretty cool. What can we do to capitalize on this? So if you guys have thoughts, feedback, whatever, like we'll make a formal announcement probably in a week or two, but definitely looking to turn this Wednesday morning segment into something consistent. So I'm excited to tell it. All right. So like Coach said, if you guys have questions, just hit me. Like this is my fourth or fifth time doing this. So I don't have like as much of an agenda as I've had in the past. The big focus on speed cuts. We haven't talked a lot about speed cuts. We talked a lot about stopping and curls and comebacks and releases and shit like that. We haven't talked a ton about speed cuts. So that's going to be the focus. But, like, some of you guys who have been on every session I've had, if you guys have more questions I haven't answered, hit me with those. I got a whole film library here I can pull up. So this is going to be a little more casual, and we'll see what's good. Hey, Jay, let me know if this works. I'm just going to try sharing my whole screen instead of sharing, like, the individual, like,
yeah.
if that makes sense.
Applications, yeah.
And we'll see if that we'll see how that goes. All right. But maybe not. Maybe it won't let me. All right. So this is the video for my VIP section. My VIP program I run. We got like 130 members at this point, just mostly kids, probably 20 coaches who we just kind of do we just talk every week. It's like they pay $15 a month for film evaluation and exclusive drills and coaching and stuff. So these are kind of the basic speed cut drills that I talk about to kind of build foundation of a speed cut. All right, and this is me explaining to a bunch of NFL dudes over the summer. But the first one being kind of just this one-step speed cut. All right, so you'll just line up. We're using a half circle here. You'll line up with your inside foot up. You're going to take one hard step. That's like your break step, right? That's break, drive, line around the corner. And you're just really focusing on every step, every detail of this break point. The key on the speed cuts, right, is not losing any speed. That's why we call it a speed cut. So you don't have to be friendly right away. You can round the corner kind of like this circle does. All right, keep those arms pumping. Snap your head and eyes around at the top. The key is not losing any speed, and we're gonna get through all those mechanics, as we go. It's not a terribly complicated. Speed cuts are interesting, right? Because it's not a terribly complicated break point, but it's like one little thing because you're running so fast, you're not losing speed. All these coaching points to the side here. If one little thing is off, your whole break point's gonna be fucked. So I think that's one thing with the speed cut. Like one lack of detail can really mess up the whole break point to where you want it to be. But it's not a terribly hard break point. But so snapping your head and eyes around at the top, right? As soon as you show the quarterback your eyes, your body will no longer drift and you'll start to come downhill and friendly. Keeping your arms pumping through the cut, that's a huge one to make sure you're not drifting too much, but also to make sure you don't lose any speed. And there's powerful steps. Like a big thing guys tend to do is they tend to shorten their stride. We want to keep that stride open and powerful. So let's just roll through this. Here's Leonte Carew, former Miami Dolphin. So there's one step speed cut, right? Watch him keep that stride open, one step and run around the corner, head and eyes around, and you can see he's finishing at an exaggerated negative angle. Here's my little protege from Rutgers, Christian Dremel. It's a pretty good rep right here. Carl Nagadosi's XFL kid. He's about 6'7", okay? One thing I don't like, see how he's stepping so far out to the side right here? It's actually not terrible. It looked like it was a little more exaggerated. I just want that right in front of you, not too far to the side, not too far to the left. Just get that break step right in front of you. Make it natural. Don't reach for it, nothing like that. All right, he's long. You can see he's running. He can open his stride up even more. All right, I want that full stride length around and really, really get the head and shoulders. A real good example from Leonte. He's starting to get into it. Right, watch out when he shows his head and eyes at the top. He starts to come downhill. That's what you want to program your body to do in this drill. Right, take one hard step. You're running around this cone. So it's break, drive, line, right? The break step, drive around the cone, line tells you you're friendly right now. So when that third line step hits, that's when you want to snap your head and eyes downhill. All right, but that's a key to this. Watch his eyes and arms pumping. That's a really good fundamentally sound rep right there. Another good one there. You just got to catch the tennis ball. I'm throwing him a tennis ball just to have some sort of hand-eye at the end. Here's a real good one from Christian, right? And I think this is good with this drill. The reason why I want to show is you got all different body types here. All right, you got an NFL player who's 5'11", you got an XFL player who's 6'7", you got a D1 athlete who's 5'8". So, all the same drill, all these different body types, and all the same mechanics apply with your arms, the steps, head and eyes. break, drive, line, head and eyes, arms pumping the whole time. Christian tends to let his arms go dead a little bit. You can see that here. Keep those arms pumping. You can see right when he gets to the apex, his arms go dead a little bit. When I show you the clip of Vincent Jackson doing it, you're going to see how important it is not to let those arms go dead. All right, so just a little hitch there. You know, like it's a little bit exaggerated. This is obviously a sharper angle, this circle, than we would ever run an actual speed cut. But I'm a big believer in exaggerating your speed cut angles, exaggerating the negative angle. And then I think when you're running the regular speed cut, it makes it really easy to come out that way. All right, keep that stride going. Like, watch if this first step isn't at full stride. If this first step's a little short, see how that's not like really full length in this drill. If that first step is short, then all the other steps are going to be short. So I think another key for this drill is you guys are coaching this drill. Like, let him step back a little bit if he needs to, and make sure that this first step is a full stride. When we're running the speed cut, it's going to be in full strides. We gotta emulate that in this drill as well. Okay, because as you can see, this first, and this is kind of the beginning of me coaching this. I need to be better coaching the details of this. But this full stride needs to be open more, and now all of his other strides will be open more. He can get more width out of each. He has more stride length than he's giving us right there at 6'7". Here's a real good rep. All right, here's Leonte. We've done it, you know, the other side, and now boom. That's exactly how it looked. It's smooth, not losing any speed. Arms come pumping. Break, drive, line, head and eyes. Break, drive, line, eyes. Arms pumping the whole time. That's a real good rep. All right, so there's like the first kind of basic. That's like kind of the first basic drill, and we're gonna come back to that video in a sec. Let me just let me pull this up real quick. So here's the real fundamentally sound speed cut. This is Vincent Jackson, former GOAT. So this is the third inside speed cut. All right. So if we wanted to run a 6-yard speed cut or an Omaha inside foot up, right, it'd be your second inside for a 6-yard speed cut, 10 to 12-yard speed cut, your third inside. 1, 2, 3. All right. Things to talk about. Watch his pad level. Watch his body language. Nothing tells you he's breaking until he just breaks. Right. There's nothing. His pads aren't raising up. His eyes aren't looking down. Like, everything about his body language right here tells me he's running vertical. Right? From his stride length to where he's looking, everything's telling me he's running vertical, right? And now watch when he breaks. Here's the biggest habit that most people have is most young kids, they try to over-exaggerate. They try to over-exaggerate this break step, right? And they try to throw their body into it and dip down and do all this crazy shit. All you're doing when you do that is giving away what your route is to the DB, right? The best receivers in the world are smooth and it looks effortless. Like, he's not trying too hard for this, but he's also not reaching or giving any indicators that he's breaking. When that third inside step hits, he's simply putting it in the ground and redirecting his force to the sideline. Nothing crazy about it. You know, not trying to do too much. Just redirect your force, right? Just stick it there on same stride length and just break, drive, line around the corner. Break, drive, line, head and eyes. I would actually like his head and eyes to be a tad sooner, but all the other fundamentals apply, right? Look at his arms. Watch how his arms never stop pumping. And see how this right arm, it's a real important point. Watch how his inside arm, his right arm, really pulls him friendly through the cut. Watch him use that arm to pull himself around the hill and get his body around, right? So a few key coaching points. This is the best rep, a best fundamentally sound speed cut I've seen. So again, just the steps, right? So third inside, and the break point is break, meaning you're changing direction. Drive means you're rounding the corner. This is your step to kind of lose those 2 yards and round the corner. And then line means I'm flat and friendly on a line right now. As this line step hits and I'm slamming that into the ground to get friendly, my head and eyes got to whip around to the quarterback, and my arms got to stay pumping. When all this happens at the same time, your body will naturally come downhill and finish at a negative angle. Arms pumping, head and eyes, again, finish downhill. All right, we've talked about this before, okay? We've talked about this before. It's a 10 to 12-yard speed out, okay? Vincent Jackson's 6'5". He's getting to about 14 yards, rolling it down to about 13, okay? Depth is the most overrated coaching point for wide receivers. If we start worrying about depth here for Vincent Jackson, who's 6'5", and start trying to force him to be someone he's not and force him to get to 10 yards when his body is telling him that he needs to get to 13, when you start limiting someone because of their depth, he won't be open. If you start pounding into his head, you have to be at 10 yards. What does he have to do to get to 10 yards? He has to chop his stride up. He has to slow down. He has to do all these things that are going to indicate to the DB that he's not running vertical. Right, so you can't worry about depth on this. You got to have a quarterback who's good enough to make a 1 or 2 yard adjustment. All right, now listen, if he's at 13, you really feel like that's too deep, then really work on him finishing downhill. I just told you I thought his head and eyes could come sooner. I think he can get all the way back to 12. So I think he can be a little better in this route, but you cannot handcuff these receivers by forcing them to be, I told you to be a 10-yard, blah, 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 and just motherfucking them about this because your quarterback sucks and can't make a fucking 1 or 2 yard adjustment on a speed cut. If you want this guy to be open, his stride's got to be full. He's got to be running full speed. He's got to hit this shit without losing any speed. And your quarterback's just got to make small adjustments to where his landing point's going to be. The minute you start to restrict the way he can get open on this route and start to limit his depth, you're just not going to have success. You're going to have corners driving on this shit all day. So I think that's a huge part. It's a timing route, but like you got to figure out individual to each receiver. If you want this route to be good, like in the NFL, quarterbacks know, all right, like Sanu used to tell me this all the time. Matt Ryan knows that Julio Jones ends up at 14, Calvin Ridley ends up at 12, and Sanu ends up at 11, right? Like NFL quarterbacks make those small adjustments. I understand that a lot of high school quarterbacks can't, that it's a really hard deal, but if you want these fucking guys to be open, you got to put more pressure on your quarterback and less on the receivers. You guys let them run and do what's natural to them on this, and then just really work with them in the break area to come downhill as friendly as you need them to. Was there a question, Jay? I feel like I saw one pop up. I'm pulling something.
No, that was just me letting them know the chat was open.
All right, let me show you guys. Just talk about finishing friendly before we move on. Let me just show you one example of this, and then we can continue. I might not have it though. I don't even know what this video is, but this is Calvin Ridley. So remember we were talking about this is him in his pro day or something like that, the combine. And this is a good little speed cut, okay? What I don't like, what I was talking about before, we don't need all this exaggerated I don't need all that. Just fucking run and push and round the corner. Just push off that. I don't need like all this violence, all this exaggeration. Yeah, it makes for a better fucking Instagram highlight. I probably got a couple 100,000 views because of this shit, but it doesn't make you a better football player. Right? Yeah, this looks way fucking fancier. It looks more Instagram worthy than Vincent Jackson's rep. But Vincent Jackson's rep is a fucking professional rep. This is a rep of a fucking high school kid or a college kid. Like we just don't need all this snap down, all this exaggerated fucking head movement. Like all that's doing is slowing you down. Look at his transition. Watch him kind of hang on that left foot just for a split second. Right? Watch him kind of hang on that. And then let's go back to VJax real quick and just watch him. And again, I just think it's the difference between a professional rep done by a grown man and a little kid rep. And Calvin's a fucking great receiver. Don't get me wrong, but it's just the difference in my opinion. Right? Nothing fancy about this, but look how much smoother that transition is. Not losing any speed, not giving anything away, not breaking stride. Like that's a professional smooth rep of how and this route looks like every other route he runs. Right? It's just a smooth tempo. Everything's under control. Before you know it, he's rounding the corner. So to me, like that's what you're going for here with these speed cuts. But let's get back to this. So this is how we introduced speed cuts when we were at Rutgers. This is that same kid Leonte. This is 5 years before that workout we were doing last summer. Just walking through it and then jogging through it, right? So again, we're not worried about depth. We got cones set up here at like 4 yards or whatever because we're walking, jogging. But it's not about depth. It's about rhythm. So it's what does my second inside speed cut feel like, right? That's a rhythm that feels the same all the time. 1, 2 round the corner. Or what is my third inside speed cut? 1, 2, 3 round the corner. Like we've talked about this a lot. It's rhythmic, right? It's rhythmic. So this is the rhythm we're building with the jog and kind of walking through it and just getting used to what are my steps like? What is the rhythm of second inside? Show my eyes, right? Sell vertical. There he goes. He gets to about 6. He finishes friendly. He gets about 6.5, finishes friendly at 5 right there. So here's the example of an Omaha or a 6-yard speed out. Again, everything's a fade till it's not. Eyes are up. Stride is open. Second inside speed cut. Pretty good.
Question here.
Yo.
So coach wants you to talk about, the receiver's body lean in their stance. He said, it sounds like you prefer the receivers to be natural. Do you feel the same way about a receiver's stance? Like you want them to be natural in their stance, or is there a specific body lean that you want?
All right. So this is what I believe in with your stance and start. I believe in 80-20. Okay? I believe in 80% of your weight on your front foot, 20% of your weight on your back foot. Let me pull up one more video. I believe in 80-20. Yes, I believe you should feel comfortable, but this is what I believe in for stance and start. So we start off with you align your back knee with your front heel. This is about the proportion that you get in. Okay? This is the distribution you get in your stance. You stand straight up. All right, now here you adjust your weight so that my chest is over my toe, my knee is over my toe. I have 80% of my weight on my front foot. I'd like even a little bit more forward knee bend from him, and I'd like him to get a little bit lower. Okay, by putting all this weight, everything's aligned through my chest, my chin to my chest to my knee to my toe is all aligned. And when you have all this weight on your front foot, it ensures that you're rolling off that front foot, and you're not false stepping, you're not wasting any movement. Okay, but it's got to feel natural to you. But I'm a big believer in this 80-20, all right, and this weight distribution. I'm saying something in this video, I don't know what, but you can see good balance. He can stay in this position forever. It's natural. I just walked around him for 30 seconds. Quarterbacks are making audibles, whatever. Then the ball snapped, he's out. All right, he's got a little bit of a little dip there, but it's slight. I mean, that's pretty fucking efficient right there. That's why I'm saying I'd like him to get a little bit more knee forward. He could be a little bit lower, and this position he's getting to, see how he's dipping to get right there? There's no reason why he can't just start right there in his stance and just explode right out. And it's slight. That's slight, right? I'm nitpicking that maybe that's a tenth of a second. But doesn't every receiver fucking wish that he had an extra tenth of a second to use at the top of the route? This is what I'm talking to Sanu about, right? Our big offseason focus for Mohamed Sanu is his stance and start. Year 8 in the NFL. Fucking mind-blowing to people, but like this shit doesn't become more complicated the better you get at the game. It actually becomes simpler. Actually, fixing Mohamed Sanu's stance and start makes a much bigger difference for Mohamed Sanu than it does for some 16-year-old shitty receiver in high school, right? You fix the little fucking details with the best players and their game takes off. So like right now, when I'm working on with Mohamed Sanu, who's a fucking NFL veteran, he's made $50 million in his career, is literally stance and start. Because at 31 years old, we got to find a way for Mohamed Sanu to get another tenth of a second, 2/10 of a second to get open. Where are you finding that from? Getting rid of all the inefficiencies in your stance and start. So it's huge. One more video I'll show you on stance and start. Here's a young Sanu. And this is just kind of like a good visual for kind of the depiction. So again, this is a young Sanu in college. Align your back knee with your front foot. Christian's was spread out a little more than his is. That part is personal preference, but this forward body lean, right? Chest over your toe, knee over your toe. Like this is good lean right here. And you're going to see him explode out. There's no wasted movement. 80% on my front foot, 20 on my back foot. Real heavy forward body lean. And then you can explode right off this shit. No wasted movement. My arms are relaxed. And this is the one I'm talking about. That's Tim Wright, Super Bowl champion, and Sanu. Right? See how they're already in this position? Christian was dipping down a little bit to get there. Watch out, Mo. There's no wasted movement. He's just right out. You see that? That's football speed right there. Right? That's how a fucking 4.8 40 receiver feels like he's running a 4.6. Because when the DB is taking a false step or the DB is looking into the backfield, the DB has inefficiencies also. Right? Every human being has inefficiencies. But when you don't have any, you just seem faster. Right? It's the same deal where like if you and I are both sprinting, if I'm naturally faster than you, but my running mechanics are a little better, that's gonna close the gap. Right? Like that's going to make me seem faster. So I just think like that stance and start shit's important. 80-20, 20% of your weight or 80% of your weight on your front foot, 20 on your back foot. So that's incredibly important now with this speed cut, going back to the topic at hand. All right. It's incredibly important with this speed cut because we only run speed cuts, at least these sort of speed outs versus loose coverage, right? Our only goal here on these speed cuts is to sell vertical and snap this shit off at our depth or at our steps. Like we only run this 6-yard speed out versus loose coverage. We only run a 12-yard speed out versus loose coverage. Right? Otherwise, at least, you know, these two routes where I've been, those convert. You don't really run those versus press. So if that's the case, then our stance and start, the explosiveness we get off the ball, the lack of wasted movement off the ball, threatening the DB right away, all that shit is fucking essential if you want to create space and get him to back off. So that stance and start better be perfect right there versus loose coverage. All right, so good job here. Again, watch Vincent Jackson. Look at his forward body lean. Vincent Jackson, man, is one of my favorite all-time receivers. He's 6'5", moves like he's fucking 6 foot. He can do anything. Fucking borderline Hall of Famer. This guy is unbelievable. Look at his stance and start. Look how much forward body lean he has. And watch him get out. He's out. He's out, man. Like, again, like he's out. There's even that little hitch he can get rid of. But the quarterback's taking, like, look at that timing. The quarterback's taking one full step and he's already 2 yards downfield. Like, that makes you feel fast. And that anybody can do. If you're a 5 flat receiver in high school, you feel like you run a 4.7 just from being good with that right there. And again, like, everyone thinks they're too good for this shit. I am getting paid thousands of dollars a month from an 8-year veteran in the NFL, and I'm working on his fucking stance and start. So nobody's too good for this shit. Nobody's too good for it. And he couldn't agree more. We watched the film and you see it, man. Like you see a guy like Mohamed Sanu, who we've just started working together full time the last year and a half. He never had that critical eye. He never had someone evaluating those details of his game. And during an 8-year run in the NFL, a key part of his game deteriorated. and now he's less productive because of it. Like, it happens at all levels. The difference is in the NFL, people just assume that all these guys are good and they have this help and they have the support and they'll figure it out themselves. But they're human just like anybody else. They're kids and fucking just like anybody else. So I think like you know, it's a good question bringing up the stance and start, but there's nothing more important, man. Everything starts with a good stance. Now, what I will tell you is when we get to press coverage, again, this is just, you guys can see some of the details of this. Hopefully it makes sense now. I'm going to go into some other aspects of the speed cut, but hopefully the general fundamentals make sense. What I will say is now when you're in press coverage, I don't even know what this is. That's my boy Juwan. Here's a bunch of the boys, some of my Bosco boys running these. But anyway, so talking about rhythm real quick. But when we get to press coverage, let me just pull this up. When we get to press coverage now, that's one where your stance and start can change a little bit. Where if you have that real forward body lean, right? So if we're in press and the first thing I'm doing is kind of like messing with this guy at the line of scrimmage, I don't need that real forward body lean when the first thing I'm going to do is move side to side. If I'm going to move laterally and slide away from a guy and kind of move laterally at the line of scrimmage, I don't need to have this real crazy forward body lean if I'm going to move lateral right away. So that's another thing to keep in mind. You can kind of become a little more balanced, a little more upright when you're going to go versus press coverage. Any other questions? Let me know. I'm pulling up one other thing real fast. I want to show you guys. Break points, speed cut. All right. The one I wanted is not there, but that's all right. All right, here we go. So here's an example. So this is this little kid Dremel, right? This is I don't know, maybe 2 summers ago, but this is some little promotion I did for Body Armor. We were talking about the progress we made. But so here's Dremel, like when he first did the speed cut, right? That's what I'm talking about, like selling vertical, right? Look how choppy, see how short his steps are. He's breaking at about, I don't know, 4.5 yards. Like nobody's buying that he's running vertical here. If I'm a DB, I'm not taking a single step back. I'm sitting flat-footed and I'm going to jump this shit because his body language isn't selling vertical to me. Small steps, right? He's not opening his stride. Watch his arms go dead through the cut, right? He's not pumping his arms. Like there's a lot wrong with this. And then we do this whole thing where we're obsessed with better. We do all this fucking lifting and shit. But now watch him. This is, I don't know, that was March 6th. So this is almost a half year later, right? And look how much more open he is now. See how different that looks? How much more open he is, how much more open his stride is, selling vertical, gaining more ground. His arm's still going dead through the cut, which I fucking hate. But look at his stride length. Look how much more ground he's covering. Look how much more he's threatening selling vertical. Right? So again, this starts with stance and start. It starts with having a good stance and start, no inefficiencies. Like that's pretty good right there. Running off the ball. And now it's opening your stride length, boom, snap that off, break drive line. Just keep those arms pumping and he'll be all right. But you can see, like, you know, it took us 6 months to make this much improvement. And this kid's going to be a fucking NFL player. And like, it just shows, like, this kid was on full scholarship to Rutgers already when we took this video here where he looks like shit. And, you know, it's those little things that get you open. It took us 6 months to get his stride to open up and get him to sell vertical more and attack this thing more. So it's a fucking process, guys. But, you know, I think it's just a good example of what we're going for. The 2 things, right? So speed is determined by 2 things. Like if you want to increase speed is determined by how much force you can create into the ground and your stride length. So if you want to be faster, you need to take powerful steps and you need to open your stride. So I think like part of, especially when you're 5'9" like this kid, if you want to cover more ground and feel faster and all that, like your stride length is huge, especially when you're short. You got to take advantage of your stride length like this. Keep rocking. Let me, there's one more speed cut video I wanted to show you guys, but we'll keep going. All right, let's get back to this one. So those are some of the basics of the speed cut, right? So we talked about the 1-step speed cut. Okay, now here's a drill I really like, kind of the blaze out, what I call the blaze out speed cut drill. So this started with my NFL guys, right? Kind of simulating the top of a blaze out. A blaze out is a post out. So we're gonna break off 1 step, take 3 steps to the post, and then cut it out. I use this as a speed cut drill, right? And that's not a great rep, but we'll go through all of them. I use it as a speed cut drill because look, they're speed cutting now from this exaggerated angle. If I can get friendly right here when I'm already running in at a 45-degree angle, it's gonna be really easy when I'm running straight. Okay, so just kind of doing things to make this more difficult on them and making this angle a little bit harder. Just watch this. Oh, my fault. Yeah, watch this and then open your stride, powerful. Just watch all this. I'm pulling up one more thing. So here's let me show you guys a real good rep. So here's Juwan, my guy who plays for the Broncos. This is a real good rep of it. Right? So selling this blaze out. Yeah, sure, it's working on an NFL route, but also like, look, if he can hit that right there at this exaggerated angle and get around that corner pretty fucking smooth, think about how much easier it's gonna be now when we do it at 90. Right, when you're just running straight. So this is kind of it started as a way to work on the blazed out route with some of my NFL guys. It turned into a really effective speed cut drill where you get them to run inside and you can get them to round this corner when they're coming inside of the 45-degree angle. It's going to feel effortless when they're running straight. So 1 step vertical, 3 steps to the post. Off that 3rd step, you're going to round the corner. Then let's look at his steps now. All right, break, drive, line, round the corner. Watch his arms continue to pump. Watch his head and eyes hit at the same time. Arms pumping through the cut. Head and eyes around. Break, drive, line, round the corner. That's really, really, really fucking good. And again, it's effortless now for Juwan when he's running vertical. And on top of that, he can run a fucking blaze out against anyone in the league. So really, really good. I love this drill. Selling it with your head and eyes, right? Really powerful off that break step. I gotta create force. Watch how he's not reaching for this break step. If you reach for this, right? Here's a good coaching point. A lot of guys want to reach for this blue cone and they throw themselves at this blue cone. If he reaches for this blue cone and has it in front of him, he's not going to create any power off the step, right? What did I just tell you are the 2 keys to speed? How much force you can create into the ground and your stride length. If this is too wide of a step, you're not going to create any force. The key to beginning a speed cut and speeding around the corner is this break step has to be forceful. It has to be extremely forceful. So create force, power off that step, and then get your drive foot in the ground and then break, drive, line around the corner. Real good reps. That's what I call the blaze out drill. Right? Really, really, really good drill. Really effective way to just create chaos and put these receivers in a tough situation and make their life difficult on these speed cuts. And it'll translate over into really smooth speed cuts when we continue on. All right, let's go back to this. I think this is the same. All right, so now just to show you guys one more drill that we do. So now this one I call the exaggerated speed cut. All right, pretty much now we're getting into running the speed cuts full speed. Now you see this blue cone here, kind of by inside the numbers. We're gonna chase that cone. So we're gonna go second inside speed cut like it's an Omaha. Right, we're gonna get over this cone here, and now we're gonna wrap this thing so tight. I want to go chase that cone to the line of scrimmage and just exaggerate the angle I'm finishing with at the top. Chase that cone, get down, right? And he ends up catching it kind of like a normal Omaha, but it's just what it's doing is it's shortening this transition process to round the corner, right? It's just creating a sense of urgency that if you're not powerful with this break step, if your line step's not in front of you, if your drive step's not in front of you, if you don't pump your arms around, if you don't get your head and eyes around, like if any of these mechanics we talked about, if one thing falters in this drill, you're going to be exposed, right? So it looks a lot like a regular speed cut, but you're just trying to speed everything up and have a little more sense of urgency and get downhill at a little bit more of an exaggerated pace. But if you, like you can see here, MJ, he's trying to cut the corner a little too soon. He's leaning into it. This kid plays at Fordham, right? So see how he's leaning into that a little too soon to cut the corner? I don't want that. See how right there, he's already starting to cut. The DB's going to drive on that shit. I don't want that shit, right? Does that make sense to you guys? Like the ball's into your left. He's trying to cut this corner there, and he's not staying at it square, right? If right now I start to look at an angle, a good DB is driving on me. My body language has to sell vertical to the last second. My eyes should be staring through the DB's skull. My chest is square, and I'm snapping this off at the last second. But this is kind of the exaggeration I want. Break, drive, line. Just don't step underneath yourself, but this is what we're going for, right? Break, drive, line, keep your arms pumping, get your head and eyes around, and it's exaggerating all these details by chasing that bottom cone. This is a great example. This kid Nick plays in Maryland. Kid's going to be another fucking NFL player, right? Stay square, break, drive, line, and everything's just exaggerated. Everything's shortened up a little bit, but it forces you to round that corner sooner and with more urgency. And the blaze out drill and this exaggerated speed cut drill, they're both the same thing, right? Like they just create chaos and force you to really hone in on the details. If one detail of your stride, of the power of your steps, or how wide you're getting in your stride length, or any of those coaching points, if one thing falters in these drills, you'll be exposed. That's why I like them on. This is kind of the thing we got. Again, no loss of speed, break, drive, line, one-step speed cut around the cones, the blaze out drill, the exaggerated downhill speed cut. And I'm a big believer in building up to this, right? So one-step speed cut, then the blaze out drill, then the exaggerated speed cut, and then go run your speed cuts. But I think that when you're training and you're trying to get better, unless you're a fucking NFL player, just going out and running speed cuts without building up to these mechanics, you're not going to get as much out of it. You're priming your body. By doing these drills first, you're priming your body to focus on the details and get those details right. And now, you know, those will show up more when you go to run routes as opposed to just running them without the drills. If you guys got questions, let me know. There's a few other things I'm going to pull up. And then we're going to talk about the difference between a speed cut and a speed drop. Is this the one I was looking for? No. There was one I was looking for that was talking about rhythm. But so let me share this one with you. So this is from over the summer. A bunch of my college guys here. So some of these are good, some of these are bad. But just a good depiction of like a bunch of different body types running speed cuts. And we can kind of talk about some of them. From this angle, the big thing I want to talk about is their eyes, right? This kid, Adam Anderson, played at South Dakota State. Watch their eyes, right? The big thing to focus on is you should be staring through the DB's skull to the last second. A big thing that we do here as we're approaching the DB is guys will look down at the ground. They'll start to peek to the sideline. They'll give something, or they'll start to lean early with their body, right? They'll give something away that tells the DB they're breaking there, and a good DB is going to fucking jump this shit. You want to stare through his skull to the last second. Look how intimidating this looks with him staring through me. It's something Odell Beckham does a great job of. Use your eyes as a weapon. Stare through him. Don't give anything away with your eyes. Okay, it's intimidating to a DB. He don't know where you're going. And then now that third inside step hits and just round the corner and break. That's a pretty good rep there by Adam. All right, here's my guy Joey who plays at Monmouth. Here's Juju who plays in the CFL. Again, different body types, different levels of mastery of this. But here's a good way to see it, right? So I don't like, again, it's not doing anything for us. You can just see how it does nothing for us. So this is third inside. It's rhythmic. Okay, I don't like how he's kind of dipping down here. He's dipping and exaggerating this. All that does is slow him down, right? See this? It's slight, but see this transition where he's kind of reaching like that. That's just slowing him down. That little like, right there. Like all that's doing is slowing you down and giving it an indicator. Just put that third foot in the ground and create force. Don't reach for it. Don't exaggerate it. Just create force, right? And because now he's reaching for this break step, now he's throwing his body into it. Now his arms are going dead, and it's not as smooth as it could be. Just run third inside, round the corner. Don't lose any speed, okay? Adam's about 6 foot. Here's Joey, who's about 5'10", 5'11", right? Same thing. Just exaggerating that a little bit too much. You can see his arms start to flail. This is a little better than Adam. But you can see he's kind of throwing his body at that speed cut, exaggerating it a bit. And now look at his right arm is getting a little bit out of control. We want to keep this tight. Your arms match your feet, right? So that's what I tell guys all the time. On any route, your arms match your feet. So if I'm stopping on a false accelerator, on a curl, my arms match my feet. I'm slamming my arms into the ground the same way I'm slamming my feet in the ground. Right now on a speed cut, I want my stride to continue. I want it to stay open. I don't want any break in my stride. So if you don't want any break in your stride, there can't be any break in your arms because your arms match your feet. So when Joey's arms go dead a little bit, his legs go dead a little bit. So we want to keep those arms pumping, drive us through the cut, and our legs will drive us through the cut. Good job finishing friendly. This is a good example of what I'm talking about, right? We're just running around the corner. He breaks at 10. He gets to 12, but he's going to catch the ball at 11 and a half, at 11, right? That's perfect right there. So even if you get to 13, you can finish back downhill at 12. All right, here's Juju. This is probably the best example. Juju's 6'3", 6'4", but he ends up getting to the same depth. Watch. See how smooth that is? Like, this is really good. He's a little deeper than everybody else, but he's not giving any indicators, right? Not rounding it early. He's not over exaggerating for it. Just that third inside step hits, and before you know it, he's rounding the corner. He's changed direction. Break, drive, line. Watch his arms. Watch his left elbow. Throw his left elbow back to round the corner. Head and eyes around. All right, really no loss of speed, no break in stride, nothing exaggerating to give away what he's doing. Just a really smooth rep, good rhythm. 1, 2, round the corner. All right, one thing I want to talk about is all these routes share the same rhythm, right? Just like this is what I was talking about rhythm and why I believe in counting steps versus yards, right? Just watch the rhythm. It's all the same rhythm here. 1, 2, round the corner, right? Different like kind of ways of getting it done, but the same rhythm. Same rhythm. 1, 2, round the corner. And if I take the sound off, and you listen to his steps, I can probably tell which routes are good and which routes aren't by just hearing the rhythm. Right? Just hearing their feet and hearing the rhythm of their steps to get around. But it's all the same rhythm. And I think this has got to become rhythmic. It's why depth is not important as rhythm, right? If your stride is open and your stride length is good and you're selling vertical, I'd rather throw, if I'm a quarterback and I played quarterback in college, I would rather throw to a receiver who's wide open and a yard too deep than have a receiver who's at his perfect depth and he's covered. All right, and I think that's what you're going for here from these speed cuts. So here's TJ. TJ's young. He's a freshman at Monmouth. This is not a great example here. Okay, first of all, he's 6'4", and he's taking it's taking him 3 steps to get 5 yards. That's bullshit off the start, right? 1, 2, 2.5 steps. He's 6'4". It should take him 2 steps. He should be opening his stride and running the fuck off the ball. All right, first things first. Now let's just watch his body language. I know right now that he's breaking. I know right now he's not running by me. If I'm a DB, I know right now he's not running by me. See his chest start to raise up? Watch his chest. Forward body lean, forward body lean. Now he's straight up. I know right now he ain't running by me. Nobody's ever run a fast 40 standing straight up. Right? So first of all, his body language cues, right? We go back to this view right here. This is the shit. That's the shit that guys are looking for. This is the shit that DBs are looking for. They're staring at you, and he knows right now he's staring at your shoulder level, and as soon as your shoulder level raises up, his feet are slowing down, and he's ready to drive because good DBs pick up on these body language cues. That's why, like, I tell guys all the time, I get all these fucking stupid questions from 12-year-olds on Instagram all day. Coach, how do I get faster? How do I get off the line faster? How do I become more explosive in my cuts? Like, DBs can't tell if you're fucking fast or not. They don't know if you run a 5.5 or a 4.8. They're going to cover you all the same. It doesn't make a difference. Do you appear fast, right? Is your body language selling speed? Is your body language selling vertical? Like, that's the shit that threatens DBs. It's not just raw speed. Like, if you're playing a DB who has loose coverage, this fucking guy has an 8-yard head start on you, right? And then he's going to turn and run. Like, he's not worried. If your speed doesn't threaten him, it's the body language and making things look the same and not allowing him to guess and know what you're running. So, like, right here, like, if he is afraid of you running by him, like, he's not right now. He's not right now because your body language isn't threatening him. Even if TJ runs a 4.3 and he's the fastest man on earth, his body language is not threatening him, and a good DB will jump this shit. So that's what I mean by body language, first and foremost. Open your stride. Keep your chest open. Look at the difference between him. So TJ's about 18 years old. Juju's about 22. Watch the difference. Forward, 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 forward the whole time. See that? Nothing about Juju's body language tells me he's doing anything but running straight. See how his stride doesn't break, his pads don't move. That is his natural full speed running position because he trusts it. Because he's 22, 23. He's a professional athlete, and he's gotten 5 years of reps at it with me. And TJ is 18 and has gotten 3 months of reps at it with me. That's the difference. But guys who don't think this is a fucking big deal, this is everything in the fucking world. This is the art of playing receiver right here. The difference between these two cats, right? Similar athletes, similar players, but totally different the way they execute it with these details. TJ, a young kid, is giving away to the DB that he's breaking right now, right? And then his pads are getting high, and then he's slamming his feet down, and then his left arm is going dead, and he's not accelerating through the cut. Like, there's a million things I don't like about this. But first things first is that body language going into the cut. Now he's exaggerating that step too much. His left arm is going dead, and he's not bursting through the cut. Okay, but I just think just a really, really good depiction of the body language going into it and what we're looking for, and just the experience that the difference that reps and experience make. You can see me kind of getting on the. I could see it from there. You can see me getting on him right there. All right, so moving on from there. So hopefully that kind of helps you guys with some of the details of the speed cut. Again, it's rhythmic, pads low, cell vertical. I want to talk about, so I teach a speed cut, which everyone teaches, right? Outs, speed outs, all that shit, timing routes. There's also a few ways to run a dig. There's the speed drop and there's the speed dig. There's a speed drop and a speed cut. So let me just talk about what I believe is the better way to run a dig route real quick. And I can't remember, Coach Jay, if we talked about this or not, but we'll talk about it right here.
Yeah, I don't think we have.
Yeah, so that's a speed cut, right? You can run a dig off a speed cut. A lot of guys in the NFL run digs off speed cuts. I'm going to show you 2 examples of Amari Cooper doing it 2 different ways. All right, but now when you're running a dig, you want a little bit more control, right? So when we're running these dig routes, a lot of times we got linebackers in there. Like when we're running these digs, we have linebackers we have to negotiate. We might have to settle in a zone. We're running inside, so like we got to be able to adjust to bad balls. When you're running the speed cut to the sideline, quarterbacks are taught throw the ball out of bounds where he can catch it or nobody else. You just sprint to the sideline and hope the ball is there. When you're running a dig, you need more control. You got to be able to adjust. There's just more factors. So I like to add a drop step called a speed drop, break, drive, line. It just gives you a little bit more body control, right? You can sink your hips a little bit. You can round the corner a little bit sharper. Drop, break, drive, line. So break, drive, line is a speed cut, right? Just rounding that corner. All we're doing is sinking our hips into a speed cut. Break, drop, break, drive, line. Drop, break, drive, line. Drop, break, drive, line. A little bit more body control. Okay, a little bit more body control, a little sharper angle. You're not racing into this. Like, see Andre here? If Andre speed cuts and he just runs as fast as he can and pushes off his right foot and speeds into this, he's going to get killed by this Mike linebacker, who in real life might still kill him, right? And realistically. But the only way he's going to come close to making his catch in this 7-on-7, whatever the fuck we're doing, is by being under control, right? He's a little bit tempoed. It's a very sharp angle, drop, break, drive line, and he's under control because he's got some, he's not sprinting full speed into this, into a headache. He's tempoed. He's finding this void in the zone, and now he can catch and make a good catch. Right? Same thing here. If he just speed cuts this, he might be a little out of control, right? And so he takes a little drop step, and now he can be super under control, get super friendly right away, and that's how he gains separation. So I'm just a big believer. Same thing here with Leonte. Drop, break, drive, line. Right? Again, if he just on this one with all this space, he probably could just speed cut it, but you're giving your quarterback more room for error. You're more under control. Drop, break, drive, line, arms pumping, all the same coaching points apply. You're just adding a drop step. Okay, here's Juwan from this summer. He does it with a trigger step on the outside. Juwan plays for the Broncos, right? Here's he does in the trigger step. He goes outside, drop, break, drive, line, right? Kind of with that outside trigger step. Slam that right foot in the ground, and then round the corner like that. So it's actually slightly less efficient because he's going snap, drop, break, drive, line. Like you're adding another step, but I don't really mind it. It's kind of a personal preference thing to guys. That extra half a step, I don't think makes a huge difference in the break area as long as you look at how he's redirecting his force. He slams down, and now he's leaning inside. He's creating force off those powerful steps. All right, but I'm just a big believer in these in-breaking routes. Some of these, right, like they run, most guys in the NFL call it a dagger, 15-yard dagger, 20-yard dagger. Those are those speed digs where, like, through timing, you got to speed that shit inside. And, like, a lot of levels you have those routes. In general, I think adding this little drop step, sinking your hips, you can come flatter. Like Juwan's running full speed at 12 yards, and he's coming on a smooth 90-degree cut. A smooth 90-degree cut, not really rounding the corner, finishing back downhill. So that's why I like the drop step, because it gives you more body control and allows you to have sharper angles in traffic and shit where you got to negotiate. You got to negotiate some people in there. All right, let's talk about this. So I'm doing one of those wide receiver film room studies that I do on Amari Cooper, and this was one thing I saw from this study that, you know, I don't know. I'm not in the meeting room with them. But I'm just going to show you guys two clips from this game. I don't remember. He played. This is him against the Packers. He went off in this game. All right, so here's Cooper down bottom here, right? So this is him using the speed drop. So watch him down bottom. He's the number 2 receiver here. You got the other guy. You got Gallup in motion. All right, here's Cooper, right? Drop, break, drive, line. See him kind of sink his hips right here? Drop, break, drive, line. He comes friendly. He's under control. He's able to slow himself down. Like, you see, this is a dig route, right? Not a lot of coverage. They got guys running all over the place. Jair Alexander's well over the top. That safety's kind of taken out of there by the deep through route. Like, really good concept to get Cooper open. But just watch the break. Drop, break, drive, line. Good body control, right? Just add that little break. He can adjust. He can adjust his speed. He can find that open zone. He kind of slows down there, right? Just a little thing. Good catch. Good fundamental break point. Now, if this thing works, let's watch later in the game. All right, now here's Coop. And here he is up top. Now he's going versus press. All right, but here he is up top going versus press, running the dig route. Wins inside. And now because it's press, he just speed cuts this shit. And, you know, maybe I'm making some – this is just my reasoning for liking the speed drop, okay? If he felt like he could use that versus press. Is now he speed cuts this. He's running in full speed. The ball's thrown slightly behind him, and he can't make that adjustment. He can't make that slight adjustment and catch the ball. Shitty ball, don't get me wrong. But because now he doesn't speed drop, because he doesn't add that little hip drop and he's not as under control, he can't make this little adjustment. The ball's thrown slightly behind him, right? He's running with so much speed, it's thrown off the inside part of his shoulder, bounces off, and it's a pick. When he's wide open, he's open by 7 yards. He did his job, right? Watch Coop. He's open by 7 yards. He's fucking wide open. So you can't fault him for getting open. Speed cut, there he is. He's open. Put the ball on him. It's probably a fucking touchdown. But my point is, for especially high school receivers, college receivers, you know, this is Dak Prescott making a bad throw. Imagine what your fucking quarterback's going to do. This is why I like the speed drop. In a situation like this, I bet if he sinks his hips and drops himself, maybe he feels like he wouldn't have as much separation, but he would have more body control to adjust and be able to make this back shoulder catch. That's why I prefer the speed drop when you're breaking over the middle versus the speed cut okay, where you're kind of where that's that speed out to the sideline where the quarterback's to make a safer throw. All right, so hopefully that kind of distinction makes sense. I want to show you guys a few examples of the speed drop dig. I know I got at least one of Sanu in here. But hopefully the speed drop versus the speed cut makes sense. Here's one from Mo from the preseason. So, right, like this is my point, though. So he's running out on a third outside speed cut to get 1, 2, 3. So he's breaking at about 8. He's rounding it all the way to 15, which on a dagger dig in the league, that's kind of how you run it. You have this like 4 or 5 yards to round the corner. To me, you can sell vertical longer. When you use the speed drop on a dig, you can sell vertical till about 12 yards, right? Sell vertical longer to push the DB off, and you can break this sharper, and you still have similar speed in and out. So I'm on the digs. I'm a bigger believer of this because to me right now, like you break it at 10, the DB's driving on you right now, and now he's got all this time, these 5 yards that you're rounding the corner to drive on you and come get this. Now the theory in the league is that you're running with so much speed, the quarterback's gonna throw in front of you like it's a timing deal. He's never gonna get there. But just some examples of how this looks. I'm a bigger believer in the speed drop versus the speed cut in dig situations. What else we got? Is there a question? Corey said nice. What else you guys got? That's pretty much all I got on the speed cut stuff. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, here's let me go over one more thing. Here's another great drill for you guys to add to the speed cut. So we talked about this maybe once before. Okay, I think we did a breakpoint little section where we talked about this. All right. I call this the pressure step progression. Okay, and what it's working on is 1-step cuts. It's a great drill that I've come up with to work on 1-step cuts without reaching, creating power off 1 step without reaching. So it's all within your framework. All right, here's that kid Dremel again, kid who goes to Rutgers, who I truly believe is the next fucking Danny Amendola, if not better. All right, so he's just sticking and holding on these first 2, right? Working on body control. And now you want to match your foot placement. You want to match your foot placement with this same, like right here. So I'm sticking and holding. Sticking and holding, right? See how he's not reaching? Everything's underneath himself. Nothing's outside his framework. Nothing's unnatural. Now, right where that foot lands, all the body, all the muscles and body control it took to hold myself here, I can use all that energy to now create powerful 1-step cuts. But watch this. Look at where his foot's landing. See how his foot is landing right underneath him? Same location, right? You want to match those feet, violent feet, and you're just creating smooth 1-step transitional cuts. Okay, so this has been a really good drill for us just to create powerful speed cuts. And some of these guys, there's trial and error. Here's Nick. He does a good job. My fault. Right, just powerful 1-step speed cuts where I'm attacking it and holding it, attacking it and holding it. Now keep your stride open and 1-step cuts, just working on changing direction off 1 step. All right, we do these single leg bounds. We do stuff like that as well. Bring up one more drill. Is there a question?
Yeah. What technique do you use for like a 6 to 8 yard speed cut, or do you prefer just a 10 to 12 yard speed cut only?
It's the same exact technique. So it'd just be your second inside speed cut instead of your third inside. We talked about it earlier. I can go over it in a second. But the speed cut technique is exactly the same. It wouldn't be 6 to 8. It would be, in my opinion, 7, round to 7, come back downhill to 5 or 6. We can talk about that in a sec. All right, so here's one drill. So here's now, I think we added the kind of, my fault. This is sharing. All right, and then this was, so this is kind of how we added this. I don't love this rep from Juwan. This is the beginning. We've gotten better at this. I don't love how much he's absorbing the contact with this. He's reaching a little bit, kind of absorbing. He's bending his knee a little bit too much in these. But you can see, you take this pressure step drill that we were doing and just stick it, stick it, stick it. Now simulate that same stick through this speed cut. This was the beginning of our time together. He's gotten a lot better at this. This is before I ever came up with the pressure step progression as well. But you can see stick, now match that same pressure. So the thought of this drill is just to prime your body into let me create force off 1 step without reaching, force off 1 step without reaching. Now I've conditioned my body to create force without reaching. Now let me run vertical and create force without reaching. Right? Not a great rep from him, but the intention of the drill is there. We get better and better at this. Whoever was just asking, this is, your second inside speed cut at the top. 1, 2 around the corner. That's your 6 yard speed out. If your inside foot was up, you'd get to second inside. I don't know if you were late or what, but when you download this, we can talk more. I talked a lot about that before, but we'll go over it in a sec. So again, here's a good M drill. So just combining this pressure step progression drill and to see how it all ties together, right? All the things we're talking about, you with this pressure step progression drill where you're sprinting and attacking the holds, attacking those breaks, it makes you feel confident off handling the force and the transition off that one foot, and now you can really attack these speed cuts the way I want you to. Find you guys one more Omaha. Here's what I was trying to show before. Just talking about how everything is rhythmic. I don't remember how good this is. This was the beginning days with my guys at Bosco. But I think the point of this was that everything's rhythmic, right? 1, 2, 3, head and eyes. And different, these are younger kids. This was, I think, like week 2 with us. All right. And some of these details are not great, but the rhythm stays the same, right? Like that kid's got like fucking shin splints. It looks terrible. But again, just the rhythm stays the same. 1, 2, 3, head and eyes. 1, 2, 3, head and eyes. Right? That rhythm of 10 to 12 yard speed cut is the same. If you want to run a 6-yard speed cut, you just go with your second inside step. 1, 2, and snap that off on your second inside step. Some of these look fucking terrible, let me tell you. But look, same rhythm, right? Different ways of kind of like getting to it, different body types, different coaching points, but the same rhythm applies. And that's what I'm talking about. So you want the second inside step, or you want the 6-yard speed out, it's just your second inside step. I'm trying to find a clip of it, but it's not. Well, anyway, I guess we can show this one again. Whoever asked must not have been here for this whole part of it. But here's your second inside speed cut, right? This is him years ago running it with very small strides. We want to sell vertical, take bigger strides. He's cutting it 4 yards. We want to cut it about 5.5. Okay, but then you see all the progress we made all the way through, and now he opens his stride up more, and this is your 6-yard speed cut. He's still chopping this up a little bit. Like, just keep that fucking stride open. So one thing, guys, so the reason why guys don't trust the speed cut, a big reason guys don't trust the speed cut is because they just like, they think they're going to be running too fast. And what I think you got to tell guys is like, if let's say you naturally run a 4.540, right? So your body is built to run a 4.540. It can handle, that means that your body physically, that God and science made your body to be able to handle changing directions at 4.5 when you're running full fucking speed. Your body is physically built to change directions on a dime while running 4.5. When you're running a 6-yard speed out, you're not coming anywhere close to your top speed, right? So like if you run 4.5 at 40 yards, you're running fucking 6 flat at 6 yards. So your body has more than enough capabilities of changing direction at that slow of a pace, if that makes sense. So like, it's just a trust thing, right? Like you need to really have faith in your body that it can handle putting everything into a cut and you're going to round the corner and you're not going to fucking blow anything out or get hurt or anything. Right, like your body's capable of running full speed, 40 yards, changing direction. You can sure as hell handle that when you're running 6 yards trying to change direction.
Drew is about 10. Just to
yeah. No, I'm about good. I appreciate it. That's pretty much all I got. If you guys got any other questions, you can leave them in the chat. I'll stay on for another few minutes. But good talking about speed cuts. Something we hadn't talked about a lot. I think now we've covered break points, we've covered releases, worked on a bunch of film last time. Today was speed cuts. Like I was saying in the beginning, guys, if you're on here late, we're definitely going to make this Wednesday morning segment with me and Coach G kind of a regular thing. So we'll probably have some more detail and build it out a little more as we go. But I'll definitely be on again next week. I'll actually be in Denver with Jawan next week, so maybe I'll try and have him come on.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Yeah, we've done a bunch of stustuff. The catching one was real good.
We did the catching one. Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions, man, drop it in that chat. And we'll get on it for these.
And then if there's anything you guys want to see, just tweet at me or tweet at Coach G. Like I said, I'll be here every Wednesday. So
yeah,
tweet at me, tweet at Coach. Whatever you guys need. I got a whole library of shit and continuing to make more stuff. I'm with these NFL dudes all the time. So I'll be out in Denver next week. So maybe if you guys are interested, I can get Juwan, a kid who's second-year player for the Broncos. I can get him on with me and he can maybe talk some shit.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. And then if anybody has any feedback and just in regards to going forward, man, the show that we're gonna do and stuff we'll put together. If you guys want to see anything specific, man. You see that question?
Yeah, let me get to Corey real quick. And then, hey, Corey, anybody else who's wondering, Corey just asked you to review steps to a hitch. I think it was my first talk, Justin. I can't remember. The first talk I gave was about breakpoints. So if you guys go back to, I know Coach has the Google Drive in his bio. If you go back to that first talk and look at the first Drew Lieberman one, I talk about every breakpoint. So I talk about hitches, about stops, about curls, comebacks, like literally every breakpoint. So that I'll go over the hitch right now, but I would definitely go back and watch that, and it's got all that information for you in detail. So we'll talk about this one real quick. There's 2 ways to run a hitch, and then I got to get out of here. All right, so 2 ways to run a hitch. I'm a believer in the first way. Mohamed Sanu's a believer in the second way. He's convinced me to allow guys to have some freedom with this. All right, so it's your second step no matter what. So here's Odell. So bottom line is, before we even start talking about the hitch, right, same rules apply. Your stance and start is critical. Your your body language and your pad level are critical, right? The same way we were analyzing all my college receivers to see who's selling vertical, who's not, who's got body language cues, who doesn't. Same thing on a hitch, right? You only run hitches versus loose coverage, right? We convert these to a fade in every level of football if you get pressed, right? So if you're only running a hitch versus loose coverage, then the only way you get covered is if you give away to the DB that you're not running vertical. Make sense? So like your pad's got to be low, your stride's got to be open. You got to be selling vertical and true. And again, right? Trust your body. You are built to run a 4.40. Then your body can handle stopping on a dime at 6 yards. Like just trust it and commit everything to it and throw your whole body into it. Physically, you are capable. I promise you. All right. So watch Odell. He's not worried about depth. He's not worried about anything but opening his stride, drop pop on a second inside step, drop pop, right? Open your stride, sell vertical. Last thing out of your break is your eyes. Second inside step, drop pop. 1 second inside, drop pop. As soon as that drop step hits, drop pop, 2 steps. That's it, right? It's sudden. It's efficient. You're not taking a bunch of choppy steps. You're not giving away the route before you run it. You're getting all your depth. And now look, now he's got 6 yards. Now here's Taylor Gabriel. Talk about selling everything's a fade till it's not with your body language. Look at his forward body lean. Look at the suddenness of his break point. Look at his pad level. Everything is selling vertical right there. Let me go back to that real quick. Everything's selling vertical right here from Taylor Gabriel on this. This is kind of like a spray stop. I think it's a little different, but same footwork. Second inside, drop pop. Everything's a fade till it's not. Everything's a fade till it's not, drop pop. And especially for a guy like Taylor Gabriel's 5'8", runs a fucking 4.2, 4.3. So what's the number one way a guy like that can gain separation? Threatening him with his speed and with his body language. You know, it's also knowing yourself. But he knows that Xavier Rhodes is afraid of him running by him, so fucking run this shit full speed. All right, now the way Sanu likes to do it, and the way a lot of guys like to do it, is their trigger step on their outside step. So watch him. Second outside, snap down. So watch how he's taking an extra step, right? See how this is kind of 3 steps, snap, 1, 2. But in reality, like I was arguing with Mo about this. We had this heated fucking debate. We're like cursing each other out. And he's like, bro, what the fuck are we even talking about? Like, we're talking about a hitch route. We're both stopping in 1 step. Like whatever, sure, convince me that the drop pop is slightly more efficient. I feel more comfortable like this, and we're arguing over a half a step on a route only run versus loose coverage. Like, we've got better things to fucking discuss. And I said, touche. So I think that if the athletes are comfortable with this, I'm fine with the trigger step, right? Especially because this trigger step we use in so many other routes. Why not run a hitch with it? Like, I'm perfectly fine. You know what I mean? Like he's still getting his depth. It's still efficient. He's still selling vertical. Like no matter how you run it, low pads, open stride, everything's a fade till it's not. That still applies. If you're going to run this second outside trigger step, the first step off the ball is key. If this is a small step right here, if that's not a full stride step, you're going to run a 4-yard route because look at where he's breaking. He's breaking at 4. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you don't really gain ground to get there, if this is a small step, well, then you're going to break at 3 and then you're going to get to 4 or 5 yards. You got to push your depth to get to 6. So watch him really run off the ball, snap down. And he just feels like he's more threatening to the DB like this. He feels like he gets a DB to jump back. This is Jerry Rice, snap down, right? Snap 1, 2 on your outside trigger step. A lot of guys feel like they're more threatening. I'm fine with it. I'm honestly fine with it. As long as you're comfortable, as long as you're selling vertical to the last second, I will continue to teach my guys. When I teach it now, I pretty much just I suggest the drop pop. I let them run through both, and I tell them to do what they're more comfortable with, and then I just coach up each kind of technique from there. So that's the hitch. Again, if you guys got more questions on breakpoints, go check out my previous talk.
Yep.
I'm doing a whole, also, if you guys, this weekend, realistically, I'm doing a whole big Breakpoint project on the VIP section. So you guys are interested, Sideline Hustle, patreon.com/Sideline Hustle. We've got a cool little VIP program with about 120 members where I'm just putting out all my best stuff behind a paid wall and coaching guys up. And a lot of coaches that do it, we create drill programs together, or coaches will send me film of their own players, ask me to evaluate it and kind of, just help guys out however I can. So I'm doing a big project on there about each breakpoint and the science of each breakpoint. So that'll be coming out soon as well.
Yeah, it'll be dope. It'll be dope. Well, I appreciate it, man, coming on. And, like I said, like Drew said, we'll be back every Wednesday, and we'll keep this thing rolling. Obviously, if you guys have any other questions, you can reach out to him on social media, whether Instagram, Twitter, shoot him a message, man. And, but, honestly, he puts out a ton of stuff, teach tapes, just, every day or every week, you know what I mean? So, just about anything you probably have a question about, I'm sure he's done a teach tape on, so you can go back in. But if you needed further elaboration on something or you wanted more information, just hit him up. And obviously that VIP program is definitely some really good content on there. A lot more content than he's posted, but like I said, he posted a ton anyway. So, like I said, you guys reach out to him there, and definitely go back and watch some of the earlier ones. Like I said, the Breakpoint one was great. The Catch Program one was awesome, especially now he kind of talked on stuff to do during quarantine, right? With obviously us being out. So, if you're receivers coaches or head coaches, whatever, you want your guys to work on something, you go back and watch that one, and you'll get a ton of stuff that they can work on at home. And I guarantee they come back better pass catchers. So make sure you check that out. And then, keep, continue to support and keep doing your thing. And most importantly, guys, stay safe out there and everything. So appreciate everybody being so supportive, man. And once again, Drew, thank you for jumping on. And, it should be fun, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to next Wednesday, bro.
Absolutely. All right, y'all.